He remembered it when he finally got through it all. Came back and apologized. Hopefully he stayed sober after all that. Warning: the content within this video is intended for mature audiences only and may be offensive to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. What's the scariest thing you've ever witnessed? I left work for lunch walking to a restaurant just 2 blocks away. As I rounded the corner, a car accident happens right in front of me. A lady walking just 10 feet in front of me is hit and pinned between the car and a building. She was conscious and mad as hell. Despite her legs being obviously broken, she let loose a stream of verbal abuse on the driver about her shoes, her dress, her phone, everything except her injuries. It was surreal. A wired patient running down a hallway naked, screaming that he was going to kill me before being stopped by a hospital guard. I was in class one day when my professor had a seizure. She tried to stand up but ended up falling to the ground and violently shaking. And of course I was a helpless idiot and had no idea what to do. Went out to eat at a Chinese restaurant with a couple of friends. One friend has a shellfish allergy, but she tells the staff every time, and we'd been to that restaurant a million times before without issue. That day we had a new server, barely spoke English, and apparently the message didn't get passed along that she had an allergy and absolutely could not have anything that came into contact with shellfish. Her tempura couldn't even be fried in the same oil as any kind of fried shellfish. You can probably see where this is going. She started eating, then suddenly began to panic and told us to call 911 because she was having an allergic reaction. I got on the phone while she took out her EPI pen and shot it directly through her thumb. Thankfully the response time was ridiculously fast and they were able to administer epinephrine before her throat completely closed up. Expensive hospital bill and sore thumb aside, she ended up being fine. But for a few moments there, when she shot her EPI pen through her thumb and was clearly getting worse, I really believed I might see my best friend suffocate in front of me, and there was nothing I could do. Was walking back to my family's car after my great-grandmother's funeral. Not exactly casual, but it was a quiet sunny afternoon and she had basically died of old age. We were about 40 yards from our car when we heard the loud snap of wood breaking to our left. To our horror, a large dump truck had just barreled over a small tree and was heading down a hill directly towards our cars with no one behind the wheel. 2 of my younger brothers were already running to our minivan to get the good seats, and were close to its path. I still remember the screams of my parents and uncles, aunts, as everyone realized what was happening within a few seconds. Amazingly, no one was hurt. My brothers stopped in their tracks and the truck missed our car but absolutely crushed my grandpa's car right behind it and multiple gravestones across the road before finally coming to a stop. We would later find out the driver had forgotten to engage the e-brake when parking. One of the scariest, most surreal moments of my life for sure. When I was about 4 or 5, 1985, my mom and I were leaving the grocery store, and I was sitting in the car pouting because I didn't get some toy I wanted or something. My mom was putting the groceries in the trunk, and all of a sudden I hear her yelling at me from the back of the car. Another car in the parking lot had been left running with a couple kids in it and no adult. They were playing, knocked the car into gear, and it was heading right for our car where I was sitting. I just remember looking up and seeing her madly gesturing at me through the rear windshield, telling me to get over to the driver's side right now. Luckily her tone scared me enough that I obeyed. Our car got a bit messed up, but I was fine. I am 37 years old and my mom still can't tell this story without crying. Junior high school. Was supposed to meet my buddy Nick at the swimming pool. He didn't show, so I walked the 3 blocks to his house to yell at him. His mom let me in and I walked up to his room and opened the door. Found him hanging from a belt tied to his ceiling fan. I was visiting NYC and my friend and I were trying to rent bikes, but they were all gone. This couple was going back to Europe the next day and they really wanted to go on a bike ride, but they only had one bike. I gave them the one I was going to rent and they were so happy. The excitement on their faces made my day. My friend and I go to another bike rack like 1/4 of the mile away and get 2 bikes. As we were riding down the path we hear sirens and a shish ton of people are huddled in an area with a garbage truck like 10 feet away. Apparently the brakes on the rented bikes didn't work and this person got hit by a garbage truck. There was a trail of blood like 10 feet long and the person on the ground was seizing very badly. As we got closer, the guy from earlier was hysterical and the person on the ground was his wife. The same couple we made so happy by giving our bikes to them had their lives change forever in an instant. Honestly, the scene of the accident made it very clear she wasn't going to survive. It was really bad. That has effed with me for a while because that was supposed to be my bike. I was supposed to get the bike with the non-functioning brakes. In what was an act of kindness on my part was the demise of that beautiful couple. What would have happened if I never gave my bike away? Would I have gotten hit by that garbage truck? Back in the 6th grade, I was in English class while construction workers were on the roof repairing it. My English teacher steps out to talk to the principal, so everyone was starting to get loud, as you do. Then the hanging lights fall on us. The way the lights were set up in 3 lines that run across the classroom. They hung off the roof at about a foot with metal poles. The school was built in 1960, and I doubt anyone actually replaces the light holding since then. The lights start to squeak, nobody cares. Except for one kid. His spider sense kicks in and bolts out of the room. Once he gets out of the room, the lights start to collapse and everyone runs out. Our teacher looks like she's about to have a heart attack and the principal orders everyone to check for glass shards. No one is hurt and we all get the day off to play the Wii they have in the band room. I was driving in Seattle a few weeks ago on a narrow, winding road. 3 guys fly by me on motorcycles. They were trying to be cool, weaving in and out of traffic and into the oncoming lane at points. It was honestly suicidal. I was behind them thinking, these guys are going to fuck up hard. Sure enough, one of them gets into the bicycle lane and guns it. Blows a stop sign and almost gets wrecked by someone turning, but avoids it and loses control of his bike. Slams full speed into a house and goes flying. Dead on impact. Body ended up not far from the road. I've seen people get killed before but that one messed me up the most for some reason. It was surreal because I knew it was going to happen. I saw the whole thing unfold step by step but really couldn't do much. When I was in high school I got a part-time job at a psych hospital in an apprenticeship program for student nurses. I looked older and no one actually asked for my age or academic credentials, which admittedly was weird. I got assigned to an outpatient site visit team. The first month I was there we went out to see a dude who had not been checking in. He was dead and thoroughly eaten by his hoarded cats. Wife was long gone and collecting his disability checks. Not sure it was scary, but certainly was the grossest thing I've seen. My friend and I got lost in downtown KC while on our way to a concert. We had pulled over and were looking at the directions. Across the street was a very high steep hill with a sidewalk. I suddenly see a little girl in a toy car start rolling down the hill toward oncoming traffic. A man is right behind, presumably the father, doesn't notice immediately. In a matter of seconds this little girl is flying down the hill and her father is sprinting after her. My friend and I are holding our breath horrified at what we are seeing. The road at the base of the hill is bustling with cars. Suddenly, the father launches himself in the air, thinks Superman flying, and catches the handle of the car. It was absolutely insane and terrifying. But also an incredibly powerful moment. The father gave no thought to his injuries, just dove to save his daughter. We had a withdrawing 300-pound Samoan guy threatening to rape and murder us all. It took 5 RNs and 3 security guards to get him into hard restraints. Started spitting and everything. He remembered it when he finally got through it all. Came back and apologized. Hopefully he stayed sober after all that. I grew up in a pretty small, rural community. No lie, the entire county only has 1 stoplight and 3/4 of the streets in the county seat are one way. It's very much an everyone knows you and your business kind of place. So on the day in question, the high school and middle school kids were already on the bus. I was in middle school, and we were circling around the one-way streets headed to the funnel of our county's only stoplight so we could eventually get to the elementary school. As we were waiting to inch closer to the light, we pulled up to the end of a small cross street that had the only 3 bars in town just in time for me to look to my left out the window to see one of my classmates' dad shoot a man in the face with a double-barrel shotgun from maybe 4 feet away. Guy was standing on the sidewalk against the white wall of a small restaurant across from the bars, and my friend's dad was standing on the curb of the same bit of sidewalk. Blew his head about completely off, and I will never in my life forget that man's skull and brains dripping down that white wall on an otherwise beautiful fall afternoon. After he shot the guy, friend's dad just turned and sat down on the curb with gun next to him, lit a cigarette, and waited for the cops to show up. I was the only person to actually watch him pull the trigger. Everyone else didn't turn until they heard the blast. My bus driver got on the radio and called it in but couldn't move the bus out of the way because of the stoplight bottleneck in one-way streets. So a bus of about 20 middle and high school students got a front row seat to a mostly headless corpse for almost 15 minutes while we waited for emergency crews to bust through traffic to the scene and get it moving enough that our bus could finally pull away. Worked at a boat and jet ski rental business during the summer. Season was winding down, so we only had 2 to 3 rentals a day at this point, so days were pretty quiet and uneventful. Some Korean kids, early 20s, take 3 jet skis out for an hour. Normal stuff. Had to constantly tell them to keep the skis away from each other and slow the F down near shore and docks. Could hear the jet skis buzzing in the background. All of a sudden I hear no buzzing. I look out and immediately yell at my coworker to call our boss. I hopped on a spare jet ski and rushed out there. They had hit each other going around top speed and completely ripped one ski in half. I see one guy with almost no teeth and a swelling face, blood fleeing everywhere. 2 others in the water next to him. I pull the guy with the face onto my ski and start screaming at my coworker to call 911. Guy had broken every bone in his face and lost all but 2 teeth. I had blood all over me. The other guy broke his leg in 3 places and had a hole the size of a golf ball through his foot. We got them back to the dock, EMTs arrived, and I had to spend the next 3 hours pulling the ruined skis out of the water and cleaning a lot of blood. I used to do security for an outdoor shopping center. I saw this guy sitting on bench while walking one of my patrols. Next patrol, he was still there. I sat down and chatted with him for probably 20 minutes or so. A couple of hours later he was killed in a hit and run. I witnessed it. I stayed to help PD clear the crowd, answer their questions, etc. This kid's dickhead friends went to his parents' house. Told them their only son had been killed and where. Brought them to the scene. I caught his mom as she passed out. Found out later, kid was supposed to be meeting friends, different ones, for a farewell dinner. He was supposed to ship out to Marine boot camp the next week. Was at an NFL game sitting up in the nosebleeds. It was pouring down rain, so most of our section had cleared out, but my buddies and I decided to stick it out because we were broke college kids and knew this was probably the only chance we had to see our team. There were a group of drunk kids behind us, probably high schoolers or freshmen in college, who decided to climb over the seats to get down rather than taking the stairs. One of them slipped and went tumbling down at least 10 to 15 rows, just bouncing off of seats. He landed in the first row right where the railing was. We all thought he was going to go flying over the edge to the bottle bowl. It was the most terrifying 7 seconds of my life. I work in an operating room. I first started as an aide of sorts in the OR. Got called into a surgery to bring more suction tubing, suction canisters. First thing I noticed was that I didn't hear any of the regular monitoring equipment that is hooked up to the patient. Then I noticed that there is no anesthesia staff in the room. Then I noticed that the patient is just laying there. Without a breathing tube. The patient is dead. The patient was also only 18 years old who died in a car accident. It was a gift of life organ procurement procedure. They bring a patient that has recently passed away into the operating room to take everything you could imagine out of their body. I never knew the operating room did this. The patient died from the car accident while being 9 months pregnant too. First dead body I ever saw. Weirded me out for the rest of the day. Last summer, my boyfriend and I woke up to an annoying popping sound. It sounded like our neighbors were banging on drums. Fed up, he gets out of bed to investigate. Within minutes, he's back and telling me we need to get out, now. That annoying sound was stuff exploding next door. The shed caught on fire and it ignited the tree above our apartment. We hurried and collected the pets. We were fostering kittens at the time, so we had 6 cats and a Great Dane to wrangle. We managed to get them together quickly, though we were short on carriers. I carried my old, well-behaved cat in my arms. But as soon as that door opened, we had fire falling down around us. We had to rush down the stairs and out the back gate. My niece lives with me and she was crying. I just kept saying, "Go, go, go." We made it to the car in the parking lot, which was clear, but we watched as fire rained down upon our place, helpless until the fire trucks got there. They put it out very quickly, thankfully. We didn't lose anything. Our neighbors lost their shed but were otherwise fine. I guess they had a bonfire the night before and left the fire going. Still don't know. But damn, every time they have a bonfire, I'm nervous now. And now, I freak out when I hear popping sounds. Thanks to them. I went out fishing less than 1 month ago. Fished all morning, then saw 3 big speedboats drive by on the river going full speed for a fun run. We decided to head out and follow them. Who doesn't love seeing those kind of things? We're following, then all of a sudden we see the front boat lose control, and the back 2 power down and stop. The front speedboat lost control and threw everyone from the boat. No life jackets, no kill switches equipped. When we pulled up, another boat, random guy on a pontoon, had already pulled up trying to save the people from the speedboat that had lost control. The speedboat was driving in circles surrounding the passengers that were on it. The driver of the pontoon had been hit by the propeller and lost his leg. A friend of mine who was also right there pulled him from the water and took him to shore, where they got him in an ambulance shortly and saved his life. The driver of the speedboat got out and lived, but his father, who was a passenger, was missing. We did everything we could, searched for hours. Using side imaging fish finders, everything we could. The sight of seeing somebody standing on a boat, screaming and crying his eyes out for his dad is something that I never want to see again. They found the body of his father later that evening when they brought in dive crews. I have been scared to go on a boat since. The son, who was driving, had just bought the boat 3 days before. A malfunction is what caused it to lose control and wreck. They could have been wearing life jackets, kill switches, etc. But that still could have happened to anybody. Just a reminder to everyone, if you go on a boat, wear your life jackets and be safe. They may not look cool, but they sure can make a difference. Thank you so much for watching.